Hello, as promised last week, I'm going to try and describe to you guys what winter work we're doing around the course this year. We'll try and go hole by hole. We're not going to do works in every single hole. I'm sure I won't tell you absolutely everything. I'm sure there'll be small things you're not interested in, but I will try and tell you most of the work that we're doing. So on the first hole, probably just over my left shoulder just now, we're going to try and get a little bit of heather turf in there. One of the things we feel that you don't get the true heathland impression on the first tee. We'd like to get a bit more heather in here, so we're actually trying to get some heather from Iping Common up in Midhurst, so it would be turfed heather, just a little patch there to just, again, similar to what we've got around the first tee, to create the heathland feel for visitors and for members straight away. Further down the first, we'll probably revisit the scrape we did left of the bunkers. We won't re-scrape, we'll probably just scratch around and put some more brash. That's probably it for hole one. We'll probably cut the long rough on the left hand side as the winter goes on. Hole three, for anyone who's played recently, you'll see that we've started the two further up fairway bunkers on this hole. So as you can see, we've taken away the long grass that was on the backs of these. Simply, it was the only hole where there was grass in the backs. It's not in our policy, you know, we're a heathland golf course, so we've replaced them with heather, both of them almost complete. Personally, I think they look great. Further back down towards the tee, there's a few little paths and stuff which we might brash, just to try and link up the heather a little bit more. We've skipped past hole two. There's not an awful lot happening in hole two. Again, we did a little bit of a brash and a scrape quite well down on the left hand side. We might revisit that and try and just give that a little bit of a helping hand while we're here. So the heather we've taken for the tops of these bunkers, we've actually just taken areas out of our existing heather. So you might now see your ball goes into the heather and you'll see these little turf cut areas and you might wonder what these are. This is part of our management plan. We're meant to continually evolve the heather. We're meant to mosaic the heather. There's plenty of seed there. When we cut the heather, the seed will drop into it. But if you see it and wonder what's going on, that's what that is. Yeah, I think that's us for hole three. Okay, so we've now skipped round to hole six. Hole four, I don't think there's anything planned. We might take that mat out at the start of the fairway if we're lucky, but not top priority. Five, I think there's a dead pine left of that hole, so we'll work on that. But yeah, on to hole six. We're going to try and tidy up this pond. It's getting a bit overgrown. There's a lot of birch trees coming up through it, a lot of vegetation. We'll try and tidy that up. Over in the approach, if we have a good winter season, again, we may try and drain that approach. It's one of the few wet areas we have in the golf course. We may have to try and move the water. There's a little ditch off the site of the golf course into the land we own over the back. So that's something we will work on down here. Spinning around slightly on hole seven, we scraped away kind of in the Roman Road area here. This was all very long grass. It looked very untidy. So we're going to try and brash that and connect it up with existing heather here. Further up on 7, if you played recently, you'll notice on the right hand side there was an old scrape there that had failed, so we've rebrashed that as well. So that's holes 6 and 7. Okay, I'm now round next to hole 8, so they're at the right of hole 8. People have been asking, a few of the members have been asking what's happening to this area here. You can see that some work's going on, so I thought it was a good opportunity to let you know what's happening. So this is actually going to be our nursery for us. So within this area, at the far end, we've got some bent grass coming up there. So that will be if we ever have any damage in the greens or needs to plug or disease. The next section down is fescue turf. Again, if we've got any issues on some fairways or anything like that, it means we don't need to pay for turf. We can take little bits from there. The last little bit, you can probably see, we've just scraped that now and we've dumped some brashing in there. So we hope to have a heather nursery in there as well. If your eyesight's good enough, over the back, if you've not seen it, that is now our weather station that we have as part of our irrigation system that went in last winter. Behind the camera over there on hole 8, no works that I'm aware of this winter. Hole 9 the same, no works. We are getting about 100 heather plugs. One of our members has propagated some heather plugs. They might go in the left there or they might go somewhere else around the course, but that would be the only thing, if anything, on hole 9. Okay, we've skipped round to hole 10 now. Behind me, the cross section of bunkers here, some of the most beautiful bunkers we have in the course, some of the most heavily played bunkers we have in the course, but from my point of view, some of the worst bunkers we have, simply because they always wash. Anyone who's played golf here recently will have seen these, you know, puddled up and quite a mess. What we really need to do is get a longer term plan here. We might need to reshape slightly to shed the water, or we might need to put a liner in, but we're not quite ready for that at the moment. What we will do is probably a bit of a quick or a temporary fix. We're going to put a couple of drains in, just to stop the puddling and see how that works. But we are aware we need to do something probably bigger in here. While we're on 10, the copse of trees to the left going through to 11 in Pond Cottage, there's a couple of dead trees in there, so there's some tidying up work that needs to happen in there as well. On to hole 11, you can see just over my shoulder, we've re-scraped and re-brashed this area on the left of the hole as you play it. This has been revisited a few times. There was just a bit of a gap there, so again we're just trying to get heather to complete the puzzle in there. Back at the tees, this year we're going to take away, there's a very back tee that we have not used at all in 2021. It's very dangerous for Pond Cottage, and it's just not a good tee. It's far too big a dog leg with the trees and stuff like that, so that will be removed and just grassed over back there at the tees. Okay, moving on to hole 14. Quickly looking back, 12, I don't think there's any winter works planned. 13, again, no winter works. What we might do if we get enough of these heather plugs, we might look at some of the little knuckles around the faces where we've lost a little bit of heather, so we might do that there. But yeah, sorry, on to hole 14. I've always found this little area here a little bit funny. I don't think many people aim for it off the tee if they get it. I think it's more luck than anything. For me, I would love to see this all as heather, but I also understand that would be quite unfair. There's a lot of members in the club who find this a difficult carry. So what we're suggesting this winter is actually to take some of the heather away and bring it down here. So it's a bit of a switcheroo, a bit of a compromise. So the carry wouldn't be as long, but we'd then put the heather in here, and I think it would just seal up the hole a little bit better. Take away this funny little bit we've got here, but it would also help members off the tee. On the left of 14, again, an area that's been brashed before. We're going to give that a bit of a scarify around in there and put some more brash on that. Down at the green, the pond, similar to what I've talked about on the 6, there's a lot of overgrown stuff in there and some little birch trees and stuff, so we're going to try and tidy that area up down at 14 as well. Just moving on to 15 quickly, we won't do so much on that hole, but again, trying to improve the environment down there. We might thin out a few trees, try and get a little bit more air and a little bit more light into 15 and even 16 tees. So that's what's happening down in that bit of the course. Okay, this will be the final part of our winter works. On hole 16, what I want to talk about first of all, this this broom bush that's just horrible looking is going to come out. This was, I'm sure at one point, a nice bush. It was there as a health and safety thing. It now just looks absolutely dreadful. We're going to put a little bit of a heather mounding in there for a bit of a feature and protection, and just to get rid of that because it looks horrible. While we're on 16, I want to talk a little bit about greens drainage. We have a few greens that don't drain particularly well, 16 being one. Over here in 7's probably our worst, 4 and 10. We talked a lot about greens drainage, but we just want to do this correctly. We don't want to rush into it, so that's something that's still going on. We don't know quite which system to use to drain our greens. What we will do is a kind of short-term fix. We have a machine called an OxyShot, sorry, and it puts a long probe down and blasts some air. So we'll go out and do our worst greens with that, especially our worst sections. So over on the left of 16 as we play it, we'll do that. 17, 18, no real planned works on there. So that's us round the whole golf course. Other things to mention, heather cutting is now started, which I'm sure the members will be delighted about. What else? We will spray all our fairways with some The product's called Acelypryn, which was for the leather jackets, which we had damage from last year. There'll be other things going on, I'm sure, but I think that's the bulk of the work, what's going to happen this winter.